The following clip is presented to you by The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, available every Friday wherever you get your podcasts and at extremehardy.com. Do you think John was maybe perhaps a little too protected? Because you're someone who's studied in characters and wrestling prolifically. Uh, Maybe it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world if John Cena's character showed some vulnerability or had some character flaws. And I think that his run at the top, the whole Super Cena thing, I do think it was somewhat off-putting for a certain generation of fans because of that. Do you have any assessment on that?
Yeah, I still, much like they did with Roman Reigns, he was very polarizing. I think they should have turned John Hill at some point, and I know that was the guy that, Vince said, no, he's like our babyface and I'm building the company around him. He sells all this merch and does this and does that. But I think you could have done something where instead of him joking and like turning his foot where he says, yes, I'm turning heel. I'm turning my heel. I think they could have turned him into a heel and let him have a run as a legitimate bad guy. And it would have like made people respect him a lot more too. I just think the reason he was so polarizing and the first guy that was more polarizing than other baby faces in the same position, like Hulk Hogan still got cheered, and they were very similar in many ways. You're just looking at a different audience because the audience is smarter and they're in on the gig, they're in on the bit, and they're like, God, this guy just gets pushed down our throats over and over again. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. And I thought it was brilliant whenever they turned Roman heel. Because that's what you need to do. And look what it did for him. I felt like you could have seen something very similar to that if they would have actually committed and let John be heel for a little while.
Well, and there were just two in my mind that come to the forefront here, two great opportunities to do so. Obviously, when CM Punk got super hot with the Summer of Punk,
right?
Cena could have leaned into being a corporate champion.
Sure.
And perfect dynamic for Punk. Or when Rock came back for the first match they had, everyone was cheering for The Rock. Nobody was cheering for John Cena in that. And there was an opportunity to exercise a heel turn there. And I'm with you. I think you're spot on that. But then there is the element of it that needs to be said when you're talking about John Cena. Nobody in the world has granted more Make-A-Wishes than John Cena.
I mean, I get it. I mean, and that's there's sometimes in WWE where those decisions are made because the real person is just such a tremendous asset to the company in so many ways. And that's probably why they would never pull the trigger on it. I mean, would it have helped him in the long run? I think so. I think it would have, but I just feel like all the Make-A-Wishes, all the appearances, all the charity stuff he did, they wanted to keep him in that role. So that's why they kept him in that same position, kind of like on Cruise Control.
It's really amazing, isn't it, when you as a pro wrestler can impact someone's life like that?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, the power of that television, the power of pro wrestling programming is so prolific.
Yeah.